Alrighty, so before the beginning of the final game of the opening weekend's action in MLS between the Portland Timbers versus Sporting KC, I'm going to do the review of the last four games and part number 2 of the busy Saturday night action that is part of this opening weekend. And there were definitely some interesting things that happened in these final four games, including some history made in Austin. But first of all, we start off with the first game, which is the Philadelphia Union versus the Columbus Crew. And it's safe to say that, yeah, the Union redemption tour has definitely started in a strong beat. And that I have a feeling we might see some of these kind of results for the Union, especially at home, a lot this season. Because, again, this team is playing with a chip on the shoulder. They want to make amends of that heartbreaking MLS Cup loss that they had, and they took out their first victim on the Columbus Crew. Though I will say that, the Crew, they actually got off to the better start in this one. Zarian would fire one over from long range before he hits one right to Blake on the free kick. And again, it was a promising start for the Crew as they were on the front foot and was looking for the opening goal. And they do get the opening goal in the 28th minute. And it's actually credited as an own goal for Jacob Glasnes, though originally they given this one to Matan. And I feel like they should have given this to Matan because I feel like, yes, it definitely took a deflection off of Jacob Glasnes and it sneaked past Andre Blake there. But it feels like it was on target. And when a shot is on target and it's deflected, yeah, I feel like that should be credited as a goal for the guy that touched last, which was Matan. But nevertheless, the Crew wouldn't care. They were leading 1-0 in this game. Gastak then hits one right to Schulte. And again, looked like the Union, they finally started to woke up because it was a very slow start for the Philadelphia Union in this game. Zarian would puts it wide from long range. But then in the 45th minute, a penalty was given to the Union as Farsi would handball into the box. Now, this is the first of two controversial handball. Remember when I said back in part number 1 of the review of this opening weekend where we had some controversial calls surrounding handball? This game was definitely at the center of it because, I feel like this was really harsh in a way that you can definitely see Farsi. His hand was kind of tucked and the ball hit his hand there. And that, again, I always thought that there is that notion in MLS where as long as if the ball has hit you in a natural position and you don't flay your arms in an unnatural position like that, I don't think referee is going to call that. But apparently that's not how it is in this game. And that, again, I just gotta say that this year, I know handball is always going to be really tough to figure it out, but it doesn't help when we see some games where like I won't be surprised somewhere down the line that this handball or this kind of situation in a different game might not be called, and it's kind of frustrating because then you get to the inconsistency discussion. But nevertheless, the Union was able to get the benefit of the doubt and gets the penalty, which Daniel Gastak steps in. He's not going to miss that. He puts it away to tie the game up at 1 apiece. In the second half, that equalizer that they had right on the stroke of halftime clearly helped their confidence because they immediately pressed to try to get the second goal, and they do. In the 52nd minute, it's Julian Carranza scoring from Bedoya and Gastak to make it 2-1 in favor of the Union. Wagner then had a shot that was blocked but was put over the line. And on the same sequence, there was also a question whether or not if Dagnak actually handballed that one. They also go to VAR to see whether that is the case, and they said it was. Now, again, just like the Farsi handball, I don't think this is a handball either. I mean, Dagnak, you can clearly see he was turning toward his back, and again, his hand was in a natural position. It was tucked in. It wasn't like his hand was kind of flailing upwards as he's turned in his back. So again, more controversy surrounding that, but the Union wouldn't care because they won another penalty, and it's Daniel Gastak. Again, he does not miss, so he puts it away here to make it 3-1 in favor of the Union. And this is where the Crew got to be careful because I know they're probably very frustrated by 2 penalty kick call that gone against them, but this is where we saw last year the Union really poured it on. And in the 75th minute, they at least try to make it interesting with Cucho trying to set this with a grandstand finish and trying to get one back, but he hits one right to Blake. And then in the 79th minute, Carranza would score again. This time he scored from Torres and Gastak to make it 4-1 in favor of the Union. So that has to feel good for Joaquin Torres getting his first assist and probably first of many assists for this Union team, because I have a feeling he's definitely going to be a big part of this team, especially in the playmaking department. But yeah, that gives the Union a 4-1 lead, very similar to what we've seen before, where they love to run up the score a little bit in the end, but that's as much as they would get in this game, as in the end that would be the final score of this game, with the Union with an easy 4-1 win against the Crew. Shots in this one, 14 shots compared to 7 that the Crew has, 2 shots on goal compared to 5 that the Union has, 5 shots off target compared to 1 that Philly has, 8 shots that was blocked compared to none that Columbus had, and possession-wise, 59% possession compared to 41% possession that the Philly Union has in this game. And I know a lot of Crew fans are going to be very, very frustrated about those PK call that goes against them. But at the end of the day, when you look at this game, the Union, besides maybe the first 30 minutes, the Union was the better team. And again, this is a team that I have no doubt that they're going to be the favorites to win the East, and that this is definitely not a team you want to face, especially when you're playing them at Subaru Park, because this team has just such a great record when they're playing at home, really for the past couple of seasons too. But that being said, moving on in the next game, and I had to wear the St. Louis jersey. I mean, you knew I had to wear the St. Louis jersey in this review, because we saw history in Austin with St. Louis becoming only, I believe, the 7th expansion team to win their first ever game. And the last one, of course, was LAFC back in 2018. But unlike how LAFC, I remember when they beat Seattle in that game, I thought that was a one that they kind of got a little fortunate, because the Sounders were peppering them, and LAFC just did enough with a Diego Rossi goal to walk away with a 1-0 victory. This was not the case. In fact, there was no fluke with how St. Louis was able to get the victory, and that they were actually the better team in this game against Austin FC. And, the other thing I will say about St. Louis, and also why I feel like this is a team that legitimately could do something, not only in the league, but maybe could be a playoff contender, is because of the fact that they already have an identity. They're already about a step or two ahead of what a lot of expansion teams usually have to deal with in the first couple of games, which is finding an identity and what kind of team that they had. And in this game, it's no surprise that they decided to put that identity in full force, playing that Red Bull energy drink soccer kind of brand. And yeah, it is pretty clear that worked out in this game, and it got completely caught Josh Wolf. I wouldn't say surprised, but more like he was definitely not prepared in this one against St. Louis. Though early on in the 5th minute, there was a chance for St. Louis, really straight up off the bat, as Leuven would hit it straight to Stuvert. And then there was definitely huge concern for the Austin backline, because Cascante had to sub off because of an injury, and instead Kip Keller coming in to replace him. And little do we know that would be a move that I think Austin fans would definitely not like by the end of this game. And that, again, Cascante, I know he's not really known to be one of a top-rated defender for this Austin team. I mean, if you look at last season with this defense, it was really Gabrielson that was anchoring this team. And I think after this game, it is pretty clear that Austin dearly missed Gabrielson in this one, but Cascante can still be a serviceable center back, and it is clear that if he's going to be out at least maybe for a couple of weeks, oh boy, they might need to think about replacement, because like I said, Kip Keller, little do we know that he would have probably one of the worst individual performance we've seen a player has in a single game. But in the 14th minute, Stuvert would deny Klaus from the near post. And again, it was a very promising start for St. Louis. Like, they were playing that energy drink style soccer, and really were playing it well to a point where it looked like they could potentially have themselves their first ever goal sooner or later. And it did. In the 24th minute, that first ever goal came from Tim Parker, as he scored here from Leuven to give St. Louis a 1-0 lead. It's also first goal that Tim Parker has scored since 2018. I mean, it's quite incredible, the fact that Tim Parker has not scored a goal since he's with the Red Bulls. I mean, Dynamo fans must be very frustrated to see that, yeah, you know, of all that time he's been a Dynamo player, he hasn't scored a single goal in literally like 24 minutes putting on a St. Louis jersey, and he's already got a goal here. But that being said, I will say that this was poor set piece defending and poor corner defending from Austin. I mean, first of all, Brad Stuver, he's got to punch that one out. Like, the fact that Parker beats him to there, that is just unacceptable on Brad Stuver part. But then on the second part, Kip Keller just get beat by Tim Parker here, just lost his marker. But St. Louis wouldn't care because it's a historic moment for them, and certainly a moment that a lot of St. Louis fans would not forget. And also a good trivia question too, because I think down the line, I think a lot of people or a lot of St. Louis fans will ask who is the player that scored their first ever goal in their franchise history, and the answer will be Tim Parker. Now, Rigoni did try to get one back, or actually not trying to get one back, but try to equalize for Austin, but his shot was mishigh before Stuver denied who had a free header. Yeah, again, just questionable defending again for this Austin team. They should not be allowing Rasmus with that much space to hit a free header. And then Stuver had to deny Loven again from the corner, and the confidence was definitely oozing from this St. Louis side because they were creating some grade A chances against this Austin side. But unfortunately, against the run of play, Austin would equalize. And it's Driussi scoring from Vasainen to tie the game up at 1 apiece. It was a lovely chip there for Driussi to put it over the head of Roman Berkey. But yeah, I think for Roman Berkey, he would love to have this one back. I mean, he just kind of got caught in no man's land here, kind of got himself a little bit too far off his lines, and Driussi saw that. And you know, with a guy like Driussi, you know he's not going to make any mistake on that. And yeah, that ties the game up at 1 apiece. And again, just one that is very unfortunate for St. Louis because they play very well in the first half and should absolutely deserve to be leading 1-0 heading into the second half. But we do go to the second half, and Fagundes did puts it wide from close range, as I thought Austin definitely started the second half the better side, trying to ride that momentum of that equalizer, just like what the Union did. But this is also where I thought, or actually, before I say that, Zardes missed a sitter in the front post, because just a reminder, Jarzy Zardes, he does have to have a couple of chances before he eventually would put one in. But I also said that this is going to be an interesting period for St. Louis, because as an expansion team, now that they are on the back foot and facing adversity for the first time in their franchise history, how will they respond? Well, to their credit, they responded pretty well. Alms would then puts it wide from long range before Zardes would head it high from close. But then in the 73rd minute, Austin would get the lead for the first time. It's John Gallagher scoring from Diego Fagundes to make it 2-1 in favor of Austin. There was a shout for a handball for St. Louis, but in the same sequence as a shout for the handball from those St. Louis players, Perez would puts that one wide. But then Stuver denied Leuven from close range, and again, St. Louis, they have responded well. Like, they are playing that no fear kind of factor. That, so what that we're 2-1 down. We're playing with house money right now. We're gonna go for it to try to get the equalizer, and they do. In the 78th minute, it's the former Austin FC expansion draft pick, Jarrett Strout. Or actually, I don't know if he actually was picked in the expansion draft. I think he was part of a trade instead. But nevertheless, he scored against his former team. And yeah, Kip Keller, to say that this was a brutal giveaway is just kind of putting it kindly. I mean, this was just... this is kind of something you only see in MLS, and just kind of a WTF moment that Kip Keller is going to have a tough time to swallow that. Now, I will say this. You know, I talked about before how mental games can be a big part in terms of how these players, of course, play. And I gotta say, you know, on the replay, it looked like Jared Stroud might have just kind of played some mental game on Kip Keller, because knowing the fact that Kip Keller used to play for St. Louis and also a St. Louis kid himself, you know, I think knowing the fact that both of them also used to be teammates, I think Jared Stroud basically said that, hey, Kip Keller, give me the ball. I mean, I'm your teammate. And yeah, Keller basically took that bait, and I'm pretty sure that after that he regretted it, because that is exactly what happened, and that was probably the easiest finishing that Jared Stroud would had. As yeah, that ties the game up at 2 apiece. Though I will also say, give credit to Jared Stroud, he did not celebrate after this goal. I mean, and I would say that in some way you kind of see that he does kind of feel a little bit bad that he does that, but you're gonna take whatever it takes to try to get your team back to level pegging, and that's exactly what it is. And I really think that this goal really kind of swing the game back in St. Louis' favor, because they were once again feeling the confidence that they can not only just create some history in this game of getting their first point, but maybe even getting their first win. And that's what happened in the 86th minute, as they would take the lead back again. It's their DP striker Klaus scoring here from Giacchini and Lovin. And I also just realized I misspelled Klaus his name. I spelled it Class. So let me just correct that here. Got the U there on Klaus' name. But yeah, there you go. Klaus, of course, here scoring from Giacchini and Lovin to give St. Louis the lead back again. And yeah, this was just a class goal from Klaus. Like, he literally made a great run toward the Austin box, and then he just completely done Keller there and poked that one in to the left side of the post. And if it wasn't for Thiago Almada scoring golazo a couple of times against the San Jose Earthquakes, I would say that this would have been in contention of winning the goal of the week. Just such a good goal there from Klaus to get what would be the winning goal of this game. But in the 5th minute stoppage time, there was definitely a heart-stopping moment for St. Louis fan when Driussi struck the post from long range. But yeah, in the end, St. Louis, they hold on to win 3-2 in this one. Shots in this one, 18 shots compared to 13 that Austin had. 2 shots on goal compared to 9 that St. Louis had. 4 shots off target compared to 8 that Austin has. 5 shots that was blocked compared to 3 that Austin has. And possession-wise, 60% possession compared to 40% possession that St. Louis has. And keep in mind, St. Louis is going to have their season opener in the next game. And, there was already a lot of hype level surrounding their home opener next week. I'm pretty sure now that has took that up to 5 times with the way that they won their first ever game. And again, just joining only a selected few expansion team, only the 7th expansion team to win their first ever game. But for Austin FC, again, I know it's very easy to use Kip Keller as the scapegoat. In fact, I heard a lot from Austin fans that were very upset of Kip Keller, and even some has gone as far as just simply cut him. But I think as much as it's easy to use him as a scapegoat, I think overall the reason why Austin lost this game is that they just simply got outplayed. I mean, Josh Wolf just got out tactics by Bradley Cornell in this one. And that defense, I know Kip Keller was bad, but I really think the entire back line was bad too. And even on Brad Stuver part, I didn't think he had a good game too. And that, again, this is the thing that I think last year we were concerning about this Austin team, about the back line being weak. And really, I think that was kind of maybe taper off with the way that Ruben Gabrielson was just going God's mode and holding this back line together. But now that he's no longer there, and I know it's still early days, but this is definitely concerning. You got to say, for Austin fans, seeing this back line just getting torched like that against the St. Louis side. So yeah, we'll see whether they can of course think about something to change that. But like I said, for St. Louis, what a moment. This is certainly a moment that they will never forget for a very long time. But that being said, moving on, in the next game is FC Dallas and Minnesota. I did not see this one coming. I absolutely did not think that the Loons were able to get all 3 points and get themselves some revenge against FC Dallas after getting eliminated at the same stadium that this game is played in, mainly because they were very shorthanded, especially on the attacking front, with the ongoing situation with Reynoso, and then Luis Almeria unable to make it back in time because he still had to be in the process of getting that green card. And that, yeah, I thought this was just going to be an automatic L for Minnesota United. But credit Adrian Heath and credit this group. They really pulled together to a point where, they kind of just grinded out a result that I would say that if there was a chance that Minnesota was going to win this game, this was really the only way that they can do. They need to just grind did out, and maybe at times play that road heave mode kind of soccer and hope that they can, of course, get a goal to get all 3 points. And like I said, they did exactly that in this one. Though in the 6th minute, Palmico did hit one into the side netting. There was not much happening in the opening bit of this game as both of these teams was trying to shake off the rust. Again, a lot of these games we've seen from this opening week has been kind of been the first 10 or 20 minutes been slow start because, you know, most of the teams are back in competitive or back in the competitive settings, and most of them are trying to find that competitive sharpness. Though I will say that if you were neutral and watching this game, I definitely share my sincere condolence, because this was not a fun game to watch if you were a neutral. But in fact, as I said, with the way that, you know, it was kind of very slow in this game, there was only one shot combined for both teams through 17 minutes of this game. In fact, 30 minutes of this game, the Loons have no shot and no attacking threat whatsoever. Though that changed in the 32nd minute when Huwane had the first shot for Minnesota that hits the side netting in the back post. And then Arriaga came inches from scoring an absolute golazo and almost a Thiago Almada level golazo from the free kick. But unfortunately, the post did not allow him to do so. But then in the 42nd minute, Dane Sinclair made the first big save of the game, denying legit from the corner, and we head to halftime scoreless between FC Dallas and Minnesota United. But we wouldn't stay scoreless for long in the second half. In fact, 3 minutes of the second half, it's Minnesota that gets the opening goal. It's Mender Garcia that gets the opening goal for the Loons here. But in many ways, yeah, this was not a good moment for Martin Paz. And I know Martin Paz had a great season last year, and I even said that he's probably one of the more underrated goalkeeper in the league. Yeah, this moment is not going to help his cause of thinking that he is going to continue to be that goalkeeper that's kind of flying under the radar, but could be a decent goalkeeper, because he allowed a very juicy rebound here to Mender Garcia's, and Garcia's was able to pounce on it and touch that one home. And yeah, against all odds, Minnesota were leading 1-0 in this game. And then in the 50th minute, this is where the controversy began, because I mentioned that there's also some controversy in this game. Now, in the grand scheme of things, this really didn't matter, but I think it's easy to forget the fact that FC Dallas is very lucky that they did not finish this game with just 10 minutes. In fact, Ibiaga might have just played his get out of jail card, because in this play, when Mender Garcia went through on goal and Ibiaga basically brought him down behind, and I said no card or a call, or even them going to VAR to see whether or not if that is actually a denial of goal scored opportunity, which on the replay, it is pretty clear that that was a denial of goal score opportunity. Well, maybe on one angle, it kind of looked like Ibiaga did get something toward the ball, but when you look on the other angle, it is pretty clear that he did not get the ball there. That is a definition of DOGSO, and that, you know, when I saw that play, you know, yeah, I was definitely frustrated, because, again, I just don't like how we seen the situation where some calls that is pretty blatantly obvious, and the fact that they didn't even go to VAR for it, it just shows you once again of me talking about how, yeah, MLS is truly back when you have blown calls that is being made. But it's still frustrating, especially when it's against your own team, and that, yeah, again, on the grand scheme of things, it wouldn't have mattered because Minnesota would have won this game. But if they didn't win this game, yeah, I think this call would have mattered. Though I will say that hindsight, it's maybe for the best the fact that the Loons didn't had a man advantage, because we know that last year and really for the past 2 years, this team suck when they go up a man. So I'm in a kind of hindsight, I think it was glad that it's still 11v11. But Boxhole would then hit it high from close range in the 75th minute. The Loons were defending well. I mean, you know, I know that I could have easily said that they were clearly going road heave mode, but I thought they were actually defending very well, and that they were not really allowing Dallas to generate any of the chances. But at the same time, when you look in a Dallas perspective, yeah, they look absolutely flat. Like, all those good attacking pieces that they had in this game, they were just a non-factor throughout this one. Though in the 82nd minute, Velasco did have a chance, but he missed wide from close range, and really that was it for Dallas, because really for the last 10 minutes, despite I thought that there was going to be maybe some nervy moment where Dallas was really going to go for it, they really never did. As in the end, Minnesota was able to walk away with just a relatively comfortable 1-0 road win in this one against FC Dallas. As the shots in this one, 11 shots compared to 8 that Minnesota has, but only 1 shot on goal that Dallas has had, and that came in the 42nd minute with Dane Sinclair making the good save there compared to the 4 that Minnesota has. 3 shots off target compared to 5 that Dallas had. 5 shots that was blocked compared to 1 that the Loons had. And possession-wise, 62% possession compared to 38% possession that the Loons has in this game. And again, you know, with all the distraction that's going on with this team, I am generally surprised that they're able to get off of a winning ways. But at the same time, I think it's good that the fact that they get off of a winning ways, because you know, with the way that I'm hoping eventually Reynoso would show up, and that maybe it can restore some prosperity, especially on the attacking game front, because I still think that, you know, this team without Reynoso, it's definitely going to hurt their attacking play. But you know, with the way that they've been able to show that they can grind out resort like they did in this game, you know, there may be some promising that maybe this is not just a doom and gloom year for this team, and that I'm kind of, for once, glad that they actually have started to prove me wrong a little bit when I said that in my prediction, that I thought maybe it was going to be a doom and gloom and they're going to finish near the bottom of the Western Conference. But for FC Dallas, yeah, this was an unacceptable performance. And I get it. It is the first game of the season, and it's easy to overreact if you're a Dallas fans of how bad the attack is. I'm sure that they will get better, but it still doesn't help the fact that, again, playing against a shorthanded Minnesota team and really didn't show any dangerous threat besides maybe that one chance that they had where Dane Sinclair made a good save on legit chance from the corner. Yeah, that's just unacceptable for a team that definitely wants to make it back to the playoffs and want to get to the next level of being a Western Conference contender. But that being said, moving on in the next match, and actually the final match of the busy Saturday night action, is Vancouver versus RSL. And I think this is a classic game of what happened when you don't actually really capitalize, when you have the momentum. And for the Whitecaps in this game, at least for the first 40 minutes of this game, they were by far the better team. I mean, they were blowing RSL away to a point where they clearly should have make this 2 or even 3-0 in this one, because how many times we've seen that when you leave yourself with only a 1-goal cushion as we get later and later into the game, yeah, you basically are asking for the opponent to get back into the game and maybe get themselves a chance to get the equalizer, and that's exactly what RSL did in this one. I mean, in some way, I would say that this game is very similar to what we saw in the game between the Quakes and Atlanta United. Only difference is that RSL was able to do it sooner compared to Atlanta United. But in the first half, again, the Whitecaps, they were on the front foot early. McMath had to deny goal from close range before White in the 19-minute heads it wide in the back post as the flag went up. And he's fortunate the flag went up, because that was not a great finishing for Brian White. But it was all Whitecaps early in this game. Again, they were by far the better team, but the inability to finish, and also a couple of times looking a little lackluster in the final third play is the reason why that this game stays scoreless. But they finally were rewarded with all the pressure that they put against RSL, as in the 25th minute, Javane Brown gets on the score sheet here from DOGSO to give the Whitecaps a deserved 1-0 lead. They could have made it 2-0 just 1 minute later if McMath didn't deny Dahomey from close range. Gall then puts one right to McMath in the 29th minute. The shots were 6-1 in favor of Vancouver. Like, it was just a one-sided affair. I thought this was a game where RSL was going to get blown away, but credit RSL. They kind of stay into it and kind of ride out the storm eventually. Oviedo did have the first opportunity for RSL as his shot goes straight to Takaoka. And I thought RSL finally started to ride out the storm, and now the question is, can they trying to maybe create some chances, which they do. First, it was Savarino tried to curl one in that actually was deflected but goes high before Marcelo Silva had a chance from the corner, but he heads it wide there. Vancouver was really struggling defending set piece in this game. There were times where RSL had a couple of chances from set piece, especially from corner, and even a couple of times where Marcelo Silva found himself wide open in the box and could have had maybe 1 or 2 in to get the equalizer for RSL. But I also thought that, again, for Vancouver, they got to be careful, because RSL was clearly getting back into this game and have a chance to get the equalizer. But fortunately for the hosts, they were leading 1-0 heading into the second half. Now in the second half, there was a nervy moment for McMath after his clearance was blocked, but fortunate for him, it was not toward goal. I thought McMath had a good game in this one. In fact, I wouldn't say he had a good game in that. He had a great game in this one, trying to keep this team his team in as long as possible. DOGSO then tried to catch McMath off his lines with a chip, but that one missed high there. And once again, Vancouver coming out of the half the stronger side. That wouldn't last though, because in the 57th minute, Takioka would deny Silva, but Glad actually got a rebound there, but he missed that one high. Before in the 63rd minute, Takioka, he absolutely robbed Jefferson Savarino from close range. And already, Takioka showing why the Whitecaps spent a lot of money in terms of bringing him. And I do believe that, just judging by the small sample size that we saw in this game, he's going to be a decent goalkeeper in this league. But again, RSL has come alive again, and they were pressing to try to get the equalizer. There was a shout for a penalty for Vancouver that was not given. But then in the 70th minute, RSL ties the game up. It's Justin Glad scoring from Chan to make it get 1-1 in this game. And before you even blink an eye, they would score again in the 73rd minute. It's Damir Krylak scoring his first goal of what seems like forever for this RSL team, and coming back from a long, lengthy injury from Savarino here to give RSL a 2-1 lead. Don't be surprised that's going to be a pairing we're going to see a lot, because I feel like both Krylak and Savarino is going to have a really good chemistry between both of them, and they've already done that, even going back a couple of years ago during Savarino's first stint with this RSL team. But yeah, BC plays, they were absolutely stunned, and MLS After Dark reigns supreme once again, because you know that once we get to like these later games, you know there's going to be some wacky things that's going to be happening in MLS. Gall did try to tie it up for the Whitecaps, but he puts it high from 17 yards out. And really, as the time winds down, it was desperation time for the Whitecaps. They were pushing to try to get the equalizer, but they're unable to do so, as RSL hang on to win 2-1 in this one. Shots in this one, 18 shots compared to 11 that RSL had. Both teams had 7 shots on goal, 6 shots off target compared to 2 that RSL had, 5 shots that was blocked compared to 2 that RSL had, and possession-wise, 55% possession compared to 45% possession that RSL has in this game. And yeah, for RSL, this was a great win for them, and once again, just shows you the quality that RSL has. This is a team that I've said before, you know, they might not be the flashiest team in the league, but this is a team that has that never say die mentality, and they definitely will work hard to keep in game as long as possible. And because of that tenacity, they were able to get back into the game and able to score those 2 goals to turn this game on its head. For the Vancouver Whitecaps, yeah, this is definitely not a great start to 2023. And I said before, this team has to get off to a good start this season if they don't want to face themselves chasing behind the 8 ball and do what they had to do again last season, which is rely on a miracle run to at least still have a chance to make it to the playoffs on the final day. And I also would say that this result kind of ticked off a lot of Whitecaps fans too, because again, they were by far the better team. They looked like they were going to row over RSL, at least from what we saw in the first 35 minutes. But how many times we said, when you don't put your team or put your opponent away when you are the better team, or even score 2 or 3 goals to really kind of put yourself a little bit distance away from your team, and also letting opponent back into the game when you have a slim lead. That is exactly what can happen. But either way, hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you do, make sure you guys like, smash the subscribe button. Let me know in the comments below, what do you think of these 4 games that wraps up the busy Saturday night action of MLS. Like I said, there's still one more game that's going to be happening tonight between the Portland Timbers versus Sporting KC, and I'm going to be doing the review of that game right after the game is over, because it's a little bit of an earlier start. Well, not really for the East Coast people, because it's a 10 p.m. start, but certainly for Apple TV, it's a little earlier start for the West Coast, because pretty much all these games are like 7:30, but this game is going to be at 7. But either way, hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you do, make sure you guys do like, smash the subscribe button, and yeah, I of course will see you guys next time.